Hi everyone, I'm Manuel Arturo Abreu. I'm a poet and artist from the Bronx. I've lived and worked in Portland, Oregon since 2009, and I'm excited to talk about Homeschool's curatorial residency at Oregon Contemporary for the 11th season of the Curator in Residence program. Homeschool is a free pop-up art school that offers a multimedia, genre non-conforming edutainment in the form of exhibitions, poetry readings, performances, artist talks, classes, publications, and more. We seek to create welcoming spaces for a critique of contemporary art. Homeschool was founded in 2015 by myself and my lovely friend, Victoria Ann Rice.
Yeah. And hi, I'm Victoria, and I am proud to be here sharing this experience with you. I hope that this video walkthrough gives you a sense of our first exhibition here at Oregon Contemporary as curators in residence. I gently place my brain in cold rice.
This exhibition features 8 artists. 4 of them live in Oregon and 4 of them live outside of Oregon. We were interested in presenting work that seeks nourishing rather than extractive containers for aesthetic activity. The Rwandan collective Ibisazi Designers Niabio gathers in informal social performances in Kigali, the capital of Rwanda. The collective makes and activates wearable technologies in a process that mingles design and performance. However, the documentation of these social gatherings is much quieter and portrait-driven. It's drawing from the language of photography and doesn't feature shots of groups. It features shots of individuals activating the wearable technology. They've provided a statement, which I'm going to read. The suite of images is called Shadows of Ideas 2022, which documents performances in Kigali, Rwanda, in a collection of 72 DPI photographs, intending to illustrate the hidden and unshared thoughts of each living being. With help from Hall Gallery in Brooklyn, Ibisazi Designers Niabio and Homeschool upscaled the photographs to 300 DPI with artificial intelligence.
In addition to all of the amazing photography works from IDN, they also included a sculpture, Site of Time. It's a small house-like object whose walls were encased with mud from Kigali, Brooklyn, New York, where it was first shown by Hall Gallery, and then finished off with some mud from right outside Oregon Contemporary. So it's a real collective work and one that I really enjoy having as part of this exhibition. Another artist who we're so happy to have as a part of this show is Hiba Ali, who has contributed a video piece which is shown in installation. And this work in the show called Pig Lunch is a video critiquing the co-option of the Black Panthers free breakfast and lunch program into a state-sponsored program that is divisive and exclusionary. And Hiba's personal experience with the program as a Muslim in Chicago animates the purpose of the work.
When I was young, I used to get free breakfast and lunch from the government's Head Start program. This program poorly copied the Black Panthers Party's free breakfast program. The government's breakfast and lunch program was used by a supervisor to force me to eat pig. The supervisor used food to try to make me into them.
Pittsburgh-based artist Khadija Yusuf produces a series of textile MIDI controllers, and we've commissioned the newest in the series. This one is called Ishere, a Yoruba word meaning toy, and it's an electronic sculpture, the surface of which is a small hand-tufted rug, designed, tufted, and engineered by Khadija Yusuf. The work is visually inspired by traditional West African fabric patterns, as well as the bright colors of childhood toys and environments. The piece, accompanied by a computer running a digital audio workstation program, invites observers to interact with textile crafts as high-tech surfaces. Khadija here is creating a kind of temporal collage because the tufting technique draws upon a manual tufting tool from the 20th century as opposed to the much more popular and speedier tufting gun. The audience is invited to interact with the work by touching it as well as moving the knob, which controls a parameter in the digital audio workstation.
Another work which invites interaction is Olivia Michaela Ross's Lake of Stars, which is shown here in this exhibition on a shelf of black mirrored plexiglass and accompanied by a projection shining from below. But really the star of this work is the book itself, which was designed and printed by Manuel Arturo Abreu and Sharita Town here in Portland. And it's a small glimpse into Olivia's experience as a Black young woman on the internet.
Portland artist Fatima Abital has included a sculpture as well as a series of collages combining her photographs and gestures in a program called Pixel Paint. And she provides the following statement regarding the collage works. My work engages my long-standing struggle with understanding structural dissociation, internal family systems, and the immaterial world. I'm fascinated by monochromatic colors and the way they can elicit parts and systems out of the body, as well as speak as a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. My art is a crucial part of my ritual, a routine that helps me get more intimate with all my selves. Conversations with the past, as well as shame, also appear in my work as ways to address generational harm and trauma. Cartography is a piece inspired by Adrian Piper's Utah Manhattan Transfer from 1968. It explores the idea of being a diasporic child. It asks what histories and violence occur in order for two places like Idaho and Senegal to be brought together. What type of natal alienation might Idaho place upon Senegal? How does anti-Blackness become mapped and traced? In this way, I believe that Fatima's work resonates with what Olivia Michaela Ross calls the cartographic imagination in Lake of Stars. Fatima has also included a sculpture. It's a jacket that they modified and dyed multiple times throughout the process of, we could call it displacement or we could call it escape from religious trauma of her upbringing. Moving from the Midwest, places like Idaho, to places like Chicago, Iowa, and most recently Portland, seeking stability and sanity.
Jasmine Yende is another artist who has been a part of Homeschool's Sacred Circles. So what she's contributed here in this show is a woven sculpture which hangs from the ceiling and down to the floor. It's called Guts. She's hand crocheted or knit it into these like long, tendrily like forms which resemble maybe guts, maybe octopus, something very luminous, living, and long. I think it is really visually moving to stand near and kind of see it interact with the breeze.
We commissioned a video work by Portland artist Ansar Al Mohammed. They are a doula, midwife, and death doula in training, working on a living archive or anthology called Our Stories, which is a series of hand-animated videos drawing upon the stories of Ansar's clients, both stories of trauma from the medical institution, but also stories of nourishment, escape, and freedom in the alternative spaces set up by people like Ansar and others who are providing reproductive labor for specifically Black people with wombs who are underserved and demonized and mistreated in the hospital institution setting.
Who am I? Meaning, I don't know, middle-aged woman who's kind of unsure about what she wants to do in life still. And what's most important to me is my family and making sure that my children are okay and have a successful future.
OnStar also contributed a rug, which is from a performance series they do called Maybe We're Scared. OnStar is a Muslim, and when they don hijab for this performance, they go into the public and knit the prayer rug, which is a textile work featuring the threshold of a mosque in the center, and the threshold is lined with pieces of the American flag. Then after the public production process, OnStar paints on the textile sculpture as well, and it's hung in Gallery 1, with an accompanying photo from the specific performance of its fabrication. We're really excited to present a collaboration between Portland artist Intisar Abioto and her new family studio, Studio Abioto. The Abioto family has recently made efforts to purchase the house of critical 20th century Oregon civil rights activist Beatrice Morrow Kennedy. This effort did not succeed. However, the labor that the family put into this project needed a vessel, and so they've recently turned to aesthetic expressions of this activity, how it relates to the history of Black Oregon, as well as the future of creating what we might call like sanctuaries for Black placemaking. The purpose of buying the house was to create a residency space for Black Portland artists, Black Oregon artists. And in this way resonates with projects by people like Esperanza Spalding, who's raising money for a BIPOC sanctuary in Portland. The wall-based collage includes archival material from the archive of real estate photographer J.S. Bell, a Black photographer for the Portland Advocate, who took photographs of many houses in Portland, including the Kennedy House, as well as other properties of civil rights activists in Portland in the 20th century. Alongside this archival material is contemporary documentation of performances by people in the Studio Abioto collective, and the work exists as a living archive. The wall-mounted collage is paired with loose soil and plants, which docents and the artist water periodically. So in this sense, there's a kind of precarity that's also grounded in Black resilience.
Each generation, so that they're kept and held, because who remembered that? Like, who remembered that here? You know? And this house in this neighborhood where you walk around and you would not assume that's Black culture, that's Black history, that's like not just this land, but that's like on like not just Portland or Oregon, but that's like Black American history, that's Pan-African, that's diasporic history right there. Yes. And you walk down that street, you would never know. You would never know.
My life is a pathway of sorrow. I've struggled and toiled in the sun, with hope that the dawn of tomorrow would break on a work that is done.
Yeah, and I think that work, and all of these works, and when I was thinking about Ansar Muhammad's Maybe We're Scared Too, just the recentering and the attention given to the humanization or the assertion of humanity of those who are ignored, excluded, erased from white ways of explaining the world.
Maybe in light of that, we could speak a bit briefly about the curatorial concept. It's a poetic concept. I Gently Place My Brain in Cold Rice is the title of this show, and we're drawing on this image of when your phone gets wet, you put it in rice to dry it off, and we're seeking and hoping to showcase nourishing aesthetic processes and contexts and frameworks that do the same thing for the brain, basically. The overheated, over-dependent on rationalism, Western brain. What kind of cold rice exists aesthetically and culturally, socially, for us to throw our brains in there and cool off or become more somatically grounded in the body and in the gut as opposed to the rational Western brain.